Welcome back to the channel. I'm Joe. This is JD'z Garage. We're continuing work on this Honda GX160 today. We are in the last third of overhauling and rebuilding this thing, make this puppy new. Hopefully we're going to be wrapping this thing up today and getting its first run. So I started out today with this gas tank. I was able to tape over the decals, get it looking good. Blue, black, gray, metallic gray, all those are the colors I like. I first had to put this fuel line adapter in here. It's got an inline filter in it, and it just threads in, and I used a number 12 deep socket on it. And it's better to hook the fuel on this end. When we mount here, we have to run through a channel and come out here and down to this valve right here on the carburetor. So I got that assembled and ready to mount when we get to that step. Let me set this down. So the next thing we have on our list here is this throttle body. Okay, and I want to make sure all my screws go in this good before I put it up here and start putting them on. So we're just gonna put that drill back there. Yeah, that one's gonna be good. And we will get, that's a number 10. All right. So this mounts just like such. You can see this. My hands out of the way. There's gonna be a bolt go here, here, and then this one's actually gonna come down through the base of this breather box to hold it on, because this breather box goes on the outside of the carburetor, holds it tight against its gaskets. You'll see it all when we go through it. So I've already put a little bit of blue Loctite on here. This 243 that I use, it's removable. It never hurts when you have, putting bolts on something without, a lock nut or the inside nylon washer, any kind of a bolt like this. And it'll hold in place with the vibration you get on the engine. So get that almost there. This one down here. This is a number 10 if I didn't say. And I'm gonna go ahead and snug them up just a hair with the ratchet. That one. There's that one. This one here is being a little bit of a booger, so I'm going to take it down a little more to make sure the threads are going to work for me when I take it back out and go through the base of that breather box, because this is the bolt that holds it on. I feel like it's going now, so we'll roll with that. Get it back out. Okay, I've already got a little blue on it too, and it's ready. So at this point, I already have this linkage right here set up that hooks to the top of this valve right here. It helps the throttle work with the carburetor and open and close for air and fuel. Its whole mechanism of what it does in there. So I've already got this mount here, as I said. Behind that is a gasket. Here's another gasket, and then you got to pay attention your orientation's right, because there's air channels in here, and the hole on these gaskets allow that air to go where it needs to be. So we're gonna slide this on and try to get this. Sometimes it's easier to pull the carburetor out a little. Get this little doodad on here. I can use the needle nose here. Come on now, just getting it in the bind. It wants to be particular today. Turn this back this way. Everything you do on projects, any project really, but especially working on engines and bikes and cars, you gotta keep your patience. If you're starting to lose it, you gotta take a break. There it is. Okay, I just want to be a little harder because I'm on camera. That's the way it goes. So, let's push this carburetor in where it goes. We now have our throttle assembly and linkage. It's going to work with that carburetor. Okay. So at this point, let's go ahead and just assemble the rest of the carburetor, which is gaskets. You need to make sure you have lined up accordingly and have them in the right position. I've had to put a little bit more on here than you need to handle the spacing between the base of this breather box in here in order to get this top hole lined up here. But it's all going to be good. You just got to do what you got to do to make things work, and sometimes you don't know things don't work until you give them a shot, make the mistake, and then I guarantee you know it then. All right. So you want both these levers turned this way to slide this on. So let's try to get this here lined up. There it is. There it is. It's gonna go back. Okay. Now before we put these two on and tighten this closer, I want to get this top one started good, because I could push it in if I did these two first, and then this bolt for the top isn't gonna line up. It's already got its locked tight. Let's get it down in there. Now it wants to be a booger again. It just doesn't like quite threaded right to get my tap and die. I'll have to get a tap in there. Get you going just a little bit better. It does not like either this bolt or the way that is angled. I think it's kind of angled funny is what it is. Right there. All right, got it close enough, and we'll put a little bite on these too, if the ratchet will work right. Oh, that's because it's smaller. Let's see. That is a number 8. Let me grab a number 8 here. 1/4 inch right there. This thing buttoned down. I don't want to do it too tight against that plastic. It does have metal embedded in it, but okay. That one's going to be okay right there. And since we are plastic, when we tighten these up, it's going to get it in where it will close all of these gaskets here where there's no air leak. And plastic's a little pliable, which works a little better. But again, if it was thin metal, you get it to work too. It's all close enough. So let me get the little, I got a little blue on there, maybe. Let's put some more. Right there, right there. Get you started, maybe, possibly. Maybe you don't like that, well, let's turn you around. somehow, some way. There it goes. This one, these are nice square nuts that come out of my bucket. Spare hardware I've gathered through my whole adult life. And I'm always digging through it and can usually find something that'll work, even though it's a little different like that. But all you need is needle nose. You don't, who needs a socket just for this? A Loctite's gonna hold it. So we're gonna snug these up, taking turns. Like that. Always try to keep things even. That one's pretty snug. I like that straight on diamond look there. Looks pretty good. I think that can go some more. There. How's that look? All right. It's snug. Just looking here with the gaskets, they're all tightened up very well. I shouldn't have any kind of a vacuum leak. That's going to be good because it can keep the engine from starting. Turning on and back off. Okay. At this point, let's go ahead and get our spark plug back in here. Right there. So we'll get it started. Down with our fingers as far as we can. Already got my 13/16 ready. Get it on there, get my bigger socket wrench. Get this snugged up. Yeah, when I got this engine, I got it in pieces, you know, taken apart. Not the internals, but all of this on the outside, sort of what we're doing now. And the spark plug that was in it was not the right spark plug. I'm like, man, what is going on here? I'm checking for spark, everything, and I realize it's not, so I'll run down and get, you know, some NGKs for it and get it in here. And then once I got to that point, I realized, man, this thing's got no compression. I barely got it running a couple times, and I've got a whole list somewhere. Maybe I'll go over through what I went through and found, since I don't have it on video. Right. So once that's in, I tightened up my hand torque. We'll just say my hand torque, and we'll pop the plug on. Okay. Now, I'll spin everything off the table here. I did get a new starter cup that goes with this engine. The one that was on it was not the right one. Like I said, I got this in pieces, and I think the fella even gave me some pieces not for this engine. Just like this cover here is for a Predator 212, but it fits on the GX. A lot of these smaller Hondas, Predator engines, Briggs and Stratton, they're all identical in the way they line up and go together. Probably a lot of the same materials, it's just different names. Different names get different prices, but I would say the Honda, from all the statistics I've seen, the Honda in testing in every which way, the Honda's the best, the Predator second. I'll come to have a better opinion on that in the future after I deal with different motors, rebuild them, use them, see how long they last, all that stuff. So now at this point, we got the plug in. Let's go ahead and get this valve cover on. It might would have been easier to do that first, but it's not going to hurt us. I already have the gasket ready here. Don't have any oil on it. I'm not sure exactly what kind of material this is. It feels kind of rubbery, kind of cardboard, yeah. But, so we know it's going to go like yay. will get one bolt. This line here actually plugs in the back right here to allow for a little air movement there. That's actually creates a vacuum. If you need a vacuum for any reason. Some people install fuel pumps that work with vacuums. You can get a vacuum off the top of the valves there, coming out of that line. So I didn't get my blue Loctite on these. It's just part of my trend. I'm gonna get it started here. I wanted to paint this cover and actually paint the whole engine that I washed. And these are number 10. Get them started here. But even, I set the engine down, you know, with everything have it in hot, soapy water, Dawn detergent, got as clean as I could, scrubbed it with a wire brush, Scotch-Brite pads, and there's just some areas that have so much cake down in the crevices, I couldn't get it out. And you can paint over that and it's gonna look good till you run it, and then the paint's gonna start coming off where the gunk's all down in the crevices that I couldn't get out. So I just cleaned it up the best I could and kept the aluminum look, and it looks a lot better than it did when I got it. So back to the valve cover, we got one on here. Let's get our blue Loctite on the next. I'm not cranking these down right away. We're going to want to do it in a pattern where it's even for the new gasket. Blue there. There we are. And we got a little blue here. Let's go ahead and get this on the driver. Help us hold it, since I gotta, actually, we'll just park that back in. We want to be able to get in here and get these down. Now, when I looked up the specs, this is one that needs to be torqued, just like the other areas we did in the engine. So we're gonna get them all down even, and it says 17 foot-pounds. So we're gonna get them down. And I'll have to get my torque wrench back out. Can't prep for these videos enough. Think you have it all out, what you're gonna do. Now I gotta get a torque wrench, but it's okay. Can edit or leave it, whichever way. So I got them all down. Less than my hand torque. Let's just say baby tight. And let me grab the torque wrench. Alrighty. Make sure the camera's still rolling strong. Got it angled pretty good. Alright. Get my 3/8 attachment out here. These are number 10 with the 3/8. Let's see, here we are. And it is supposed to be at 17 foot-pounds. I have it dialed down. That's what you do when you torque wrenches. Let's get it up to 20. And then dial down just a little. And that's gonna be pretty good. All right. Now the challenge is going to be, this wrench is a little big, so I'm going to get some extensions here. Yeah, that'll work. So we're going to start this. We're going to turn it, not expecting a pop. We're going to go in the X like that. Come back across there, there, we'll come back and start that same pattern. Okay. Okay. There's that. And I'm telling you, these are snugging up. I broke so many bolt heads off and farted out so many gaskets. I don't want to do that right here. So I had come just under 20. I'm going to go down more to what looks like 15. See if we can get a click out of this. There it went. And I like that. I could tell where it was at, and I don't want to fart the gasket out. And there it is. There it is. And there. All right. Get this torque wrench back out of the way. Got the cover on. It would have looked nice painted. I would have got the high temp 2000 degree grill paint, engine paint, put it on here. But I mean, there is a lot of crevices. And I tried toothbrush, wire brush, wire wheel, and just some of this down in here you couldn't get. And I had spent so much time on, I was like, you know what? This is already gonna look 90% better than it did when I got it. So, okay, we got our valve cover on. Let's grab our spark plug wire and put it back. Make sure this little doohickey here is turned on tight. When I got it, the spark plug was missing that. We got a good plug, new wire, new ignition. I mean, it's going to be in pretty good shape here. It already came with a long shaft that has a keyway. A torque converter is going to go on this good for the Yamaha GT80 bike build we're going to be doing. We're going to put this engine on it. It's not going to be quite as strong as my Wild Hog over there with the Tilly 212, but it'll be good enough. The important thing to me when I'm riding is torque. Low end torque for hillside trails, mountain trails. You know, a good spring in the torque converter, the right setting in it. I'm not looking for a lot of speed when I ride. Just a lot of get up and go and making it through some trails without bogging out, snapping a belt or chain, whatnot. So, okay. At this point, let's see, we got our valve cover on, 17 foot-pounds. Let's go ahead and finish assembling this air box, this Tilly air box. So on these here, there's a rubber. This rubber right here, if you do not put down here under your filter, it is going to suck dirt from underneath in that gap and get dirt all down in your engine, and it's going to wear it out quicker. That appeared to look like what was the case with this engine when I got it. But like I said, I don't know. I got it in a bunch of pieces. I'm unsure why. The guy advertised it on Marketplace. Even showed it running, and then when I got there, he had a lot of engines in his car. They were all taken apart. And he seemed like in a hurry to get me out what I wanted in pieces. And luckily, I bought it with the intention of having a good Honda and rebuilding it for my bike, so I wasn't too bent out of shape. But yeah, I threw it all back together. Never really got it running. If I did, it didn't run long. Cleaned the carburetor, air box, used starter fluid, checked the wiring, put a new switch on. I never could get it running because it didn't have enough compression. But yeah, doing it that way, putting it back together, I got to write down a whole list of what was wrong, what had to be fixed, and then of course I added to it what I wanted to do to make it look better in appearance. So let's go ahead and get this here. Actually, we'll put this wing nut here and hold this joker down on that rubber. Don't put that wing nut in, I'd be sucking dirt in there, taking it out on the trails. As I forgot to put this on. It's easy to forget things. I wouldn't advise it, but nobody really does. Okay. Get this button down. Already, that's looking pretty sharp right there. This new black cover, that's black. I've got a blue cover with this pull cord. We'll pull out before long. Keep my blue and black look with aluminum, gray, whatnot. That's just the color tones I really like. All right, so we got the air box on. Let's do the muffler that also came off the factory, Tilly 212. Actually, before I do the muffler, there's one bolt that goes here into the gas tank, and it's easier without the muffler. As a matter of fact, I may have to unplug that again too. So I'm gonna grab the gas tank and we'll work on that. And let's turn it back maybe here. So it's already got these two studs here that go in. But before we do that, we need to get the fuel line down through here where we want it to be. So it kind of has to, this is going to be a fun little thing. And what I'll do is, let's just go ahead and take this clip off here to make it easier to channel through there. And this might would have been easier before the breather box too, but we'll get it on there somehow or another. If I gotta turn this one like such. And I can see it, so let me try get it down in here. Okay, somehow I got this gas tank here. The fuel line from the tank to the valve on the carburetor. Try and get this where maybe you can see. You can see the line running down there as a clip where it goes in the carburetor. Well, it goes underneath the throttle assembly and right up in there. See if I can get it. You can see the white valve in there possibly for the fuel line, and it's tight. Like, it'd have been better actually to put the gas tank on before this whole box, carburetor and throttle assembly, to just have that line through there, but somehow I got it. So we'll go ahead and do the bolts on it. Watch right here. So we have this one with blue Loctite on it, and somehow or another it goes in there. All right, and then we're going to come around and do a little Loctite on these. Maybe. Get them started back here. These are more out of my hardware bucket on some slop, but I'm telling you, I've gotten so many things out of that. Came up with custom, little bit of redneck things to make them all work. So this one here doesn't like this plate tab, so we're just gonna bend that. That's just a one of the heat shields in here. It was able to bend over, so I can get this going on here like that. And we will use these longer needle nose were helping me get in and guide that fuel line to get it channeled down and through. Having the right tools for the job helps, and then having the awkward tools come in handy when you at least expect it. So we're gonna snug this dude down right here. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. And let's see here. Flashlight. Let's see if I can tell what's going on there. Not sure we're gonna get this one in. We can try. But yeah, it probably just needs to be a little bit short of a bolt. I'll get back to that one. Okay. So, got our gas tank mounted. It's hooked up here. It's hooked up down on the carburetor. So now let's go back and first let's put our air box back together, right? And then we're gonna switch to the muffler. So remember, you put the filter, you make sure your rubber gasket's down here. That dirt gets in your engine and not supposed to be in there. Only oil, and wears your rings out quicker on your piston head. Just wear things out, make them work harder because there's friction in there. And there shouldn't be. So that's why we even change oil before it starts getting sludge and making up its own buildup, because that can end up hurting the engine too. Got that button down. Don't want to forget that wing nut. Get our box back on here. Comes with this plastic cover. And I gotta tell you guys, I'm liking what I see so far. It doesn't even look like the same engine. Wait till we get our cover on it and this thing all buttoned up. All right, so now we're gonna switch to the muffler. It's already got a gasket here that was on it when it was on my Tilton brand new, and I took it off. The gasket stayed with it, so I did have new gaskets, but I'm not gonna need it. So let's get this on here. We'll go ahead and put a lock nut. In the future, when I get the torque converter on this thing and get my new intake breather that's very race sport-like looking, we'll do an exhaust too with a long header, cool muffler on it, and which will come back and I'll go down alongside the bike. But yeah, all that's to come on the channel, so make sure you subscribe and like my videos and share them so other people can find this. So these nuts here, I believe, were 12, if I can find it. There it is. We'll just get our standard ratchet on this. Oh, it was a 13. 13. I was close. So I'll come down, even it out. That's Joe torque. Roughly around 190 to 100 foot-pounds. I've checked it before, so I know. Not having a torque wrench, and I go as hard as I can what it is, but I've still snapped bolts off like I always talk about. Even did it on a valve cover not too long ago. And it's not the first time. Years back I did that, but yeah, I had to get an extraction set with a reversed drill bit. And then they come with this spiral extractor you put down in that hole, and it'll turn your bolt out that you snapped off. So I'm glad that someone thought of that and designed a tool for that, because this thing is looking sweet. Okay, I'm very, very happy with this. All right, so now we are ready to put this cover with the pull cord assembly on it. Let me grab it right quick. And it's pretty awesome. I like the color. Like I said, blue, black. gray, aluminum, metallic, you know, all that's my cars. This sticker looked cool because the orange ring, but it wasn't stuck on here straight. And if I try to take that off and recenter, it's going to tear it up. So I've got logos. Guys, of my channel logo on YouTube being made right now in die cut and stickers, which I'm going to put here, and they look really cool. I spent a lot of time on that logo. I'm proud of it. But I'm going to have those stickers, and I'm going to put one on here since my hands were all in this and rebuilt it. That's what I get to do. So anyhow, these work. There's a coil spring in there. If you ever take these out and it comes out, you can get them back together. And there's YouTube videos that show you. But my advice is don't take this nut out and let it come out. You'll go through trouble trying to get yourself. You go through videos, it'll still pop out. You'll eventually get it. Sure, if you did it enough, it wouldn't even be an issue if it happened. But so these work when you pull the cord. See these two little arms that stick out? Well, they grab these grooves on this starter cup, which turn the crank and start the engine. So when you don't have a pull cord, you have a flywheel, which is like a big gear with teeth. And then you have a starter on the side with an actuator that, when you turn the key, pops out with the gear and turns that flywheel to start the engine. And that's the two different ways you can do it. And we may end up putting an ignition system and starter on this. Once we get it on the bike, I ride it, I see the engine's gonna work and it all works great, then at that point I would add the ignition system. But we're just gonna go with a pull cord for now. Although when we do go to put this on the bike, it's gonna get a torque converter, it's gonna get a performance exhaust intake, and probably a way better carburetor with a better jet. So let's go ahead and get this mounted. I'm going to kick this guy back to hold it like this. Get the first ones in here. Get a little Loctite on these. There's one. So let's get you there. There's a lot of holes here, but this one only have threads. So we're gonna line it up and maybe get you going here. There it is. I think it's this number 8 too. It is. Okay. So get it down almost snug. And then let's get our next two. Get some blue on it. I'm really liking the way this blue cover looks too. It's not quite the same blue as the tank, but it just looks awesome. It doesn't even look like a standard Honda GX160, 200. Any of the ones they make. Is this going down or not? I don't have it lined up quite well. So I can tell what's going on here. There it goes. Just a spinning it. Wasn't doing nothing. Okay. Last ones, get some blue Loctite on here. And it was down here on the bottom. Just like that. Get a little extra bite on them. Man, that looks good. It's gonna be even better when I get my logo on there. I'll be sure and have that up. If I don't record doing something else, come over here and change it on a video, I will be sure and get it up as an image on Instagram. All right. So we are looking good. We're basically to a point where all we've got to do is add the oil, add some gas, which I'm out of. I used the rest to put in my bike and ride this weekend. If you haven't seen those shorts on my Instagram and YouTube, check them out. Really cool riding this weekend. And so once I get gas, I've already got oil. We'll measure and put it in, put the gas in a sec after I run and get some, and then we're gonna fire this thing up. Can't wait. Okay, made it back from the gas station, got gas, so we're gonna continue on this project. Get some oil in here, some gas, and crank this puppy up for its first time. First, I wanted to go over some of the things I had found were wrong on this, even though I knew I was gonna overhaul it. It had a junked, filthy carb. Someone had screwed a new main jet in it, and it was way too much. You could tell someone tried to work on the carb. The spark plug was missing its cap and washer. It was the wrong spark plug. I found pieces of the ceramic from a spark plug down in the combustion chamber. It had very tarry old oil, which was way too low, keeping the engine shut off and wouldn't start because of this oil sensor right here. This was wired in with the ignition, and if the oil got too low, it would ground out and keep the engine from starting. I deleted this sensor. There's no need for it with me. I'm on top of checking my oil before I ever run an engine every time. I change oil very regularly, probably more than you have to. So I didn't need that, and it's going to give us more oil volume inside. Let's see what else. The ignition coil just wasn't cutting it anymore. It was too weak of a spark. You can take your spark plug out, put it against the metal somewhere, and see a spark when you pull the cord. And that's how you know if you have trouble with the ignition. And it had a spark, but it was weak, so I replaced it. Of course, all the gaskets and seals were leaking and cracked. It had missing lower valve spring caps with the seals on them. So somebody had even been in the head of the motor, which is down here right now, messing with the valves, maybe even took them apart, put them back together, didn't have the valve lash set, forgot to put those back in, so that just causes no compression, and it wasn't right inside the head. The piston rings were old and worn out, but it was just the normal use, so we went on and replaced those. It was just filthy with oil and dirt. I still have parts missing, parts not right. So, but that's kind of where we were starting this project. So we're gonna go ahead and get our oil. It calls for between 16 and 20 ounces. 16 is half a quart. So I'm gonna go ahead and try the 20. Hopefully we won't overfill it, but we've got to remember we took this out, so there should be more volume. Let's see here. Get our oil. We got our cup ready. Just a cooking cup. Keep one in the garage. Let's see here. We'll get our ounces right here where we can see it. So let's just go ahead and do 16. That's the cup. We'll put it down and check the dipstick. This is a secret oil. It is conventional, and it's a thicker oil, and everywhere I've read and people I've learned from on YouTube have told me to always break your new rings in with regular conventional oil, and then after so many hours, 12 to 15 hours, you can change it and switch to synthetic. So I do use conventional the first time. That's our 16. So let's go ahead and start getting this poured in here. You notice you may hear some birds chirping, whatnot, some outside noises. I've opened the garage at this point. It's a beautiful day here. Beautiful day outside. So, plus, we're going to be cranking this puppy, and I don't want all the fumes in the shop here, and I'm underneath my house. They get all up in the house with the ventilation and whatnot, so I point a fan out when I'm working on anything running motors. So that was 16. We're gonna get this funnel out of our way. And let's tilt this motor back flat. It's semi-level table and whatnot, but it's good enough to give us an idea on this dipstick where we're gonna be. So we're gonna screw this in. Kind of see where we're at. I'm thinking it's definitely gonna take more. And it is. It is only right here. I fill them up. So my initial 20 ounces is right, but it was better starting with the 16. So we're gonna tilt it back up, put the funnel in it, pour 4 more ounces, and then see where we're at. Get the funnel back in here. Get a little more oil. Put 4. See where we're at after that. I don't want to overfill it and be smoking. Get this poured in here. Okay. This funnel back out. Get it back down where it's supposed to be. We already wiped that, but let's wipe it one more time, make sure. And our oil is now up to there. That's going to be good enough for cranking this thing. But I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and put more. It called for 16 to 20 ounces with the oil sensor. We're at 20 now, and I could still use a little more, so let's just go ahead and do it. Judging by the dipstick, I'm thinking 2 more ounces ought to cut it. Get tilted back here. Get our funnel in. Get our cup back out. I will be writing this down so I know how much to pour the first time. The next time I change it, turn it here to ounces. And we pour about 3 there. So this is going to be about 23, and I bet it'll be close to on the money. Try not to make a mess on my work area here. Let's remove the funnel. Get our dipstick. First we'll turn the engine back down. There. Screw this back in. Oh yeah, that's pretty much at the top of the stick where I want it there. So we're in good shape now, oil wise. Remember, I have everything lubricated in there with white lithium until that little plunger on the connecting rod from the piston head dips in the oil and slings it up towards the piston and the rings and starts doing its job in there. It's lubricated enough before it starts getting that. Okay, let's turn it back this way and get the gas in here. Now I had here it is. I keep a funnel just for gasoline as well with a screen in it. And let's try to pour some in here without pouring it on my tank, which the paint shouldn't come off. Gasoline's what it says, but I don't trust it. So we're gonna be careful. Get a little go juice in here. Okay, that ought to be enough, probably more than enough. Just to get her going. You never know if you're gonna have some kind of a fuel leak, and you'll have to drain that back out anyway, take the tank off and deal with wherever it's leaking. If it's in the line, carburetor, whatnot, you're gonna have to unhook the line from the carburetor to get it back off. You could pinch it off with vice grips, but you're gonna make a big mess. So you just want very little in there so we can drain it again if we have to, because you never know what's gonna happen. Get another paper towel here so I don't get gas on my engine, paint. All right. So we're gonna double check the throttle. It's hooked back up, should be good. We're gonna turn this to on. Right now it's on choke with the lever right there. After it runs, we'll flip that back off. Our spark plug's hooked up. I don't think I talked about the gap. I had set the gap on the spark plug. It's supposed to be around 28, 30, and it's right in there. I didn't show that part because I'd already done it. We got a muffler on, so the sound shouldn't get us too bad, or any fireballs blowing out of there. And we're all secure on everything. Everything's been Loctite in. My switch is wired up without the wiring for the oil sensor. It's just less wires and stuff over here to get snagged on, or stick to get in on your bike and yank them loose. And you remember we had torqued all this previously. This bolt can come out. I just have it in there. So we should be good to fire this thing up. Okay, I cleared the tools back. Got this at an angle where I can pull start it. And at this point, we can cross our fingers it works. Let's see, let's turn the switch on. Oh, there. Let's see what it does. Whoa. There's better grip here. There it is. A little bit. Pull the plug wire because something's not quite right in my switch. I'll get to the bottom of that, it's no big deal. Probably just something with the ground that when you turn it off, it'll kill it, so. But wow, it sounds so good. So good. I just couldn't be happier at how this project turned out. Wow. This is exactly how you want it to go. And it is a reward when you get done with projects. So I hope y'all enjoyed watching this through this Honda motor with me. I know my didn't have a video for the initial tear down and getting going, but I tried to pick up halfway through on the last video, and then we completed putting everything together here and got it running. Yes, that's a win. So stay tuned to the channel. Subscribe, like, share. There's going to be a lot more to come, more engine rebuilds. I'm putting a new one on my four-wheeler. I'm building another bike. I've already ordered the frame off eBay. It's a Yamaha GT80 frame, and we're going to try to build it back with as much as we can find for that bike, and then the rest will be customizations and mod that I get from Go Power Sports. One thing I didn't mention is this is the governor gear inside, and I didn't do that. Was part of my tear down. I knew I wanted to do a governor delete. There's videos out there that teach you how to adjust governors, how to replace governors, and how to delete them. I don't find them necessary. They hold the engine back from what it's capable of. You still want to dial it down with this screw here so you don't top it all the way out full throttle, but this really takes off a lot, the governor, and they're not needed. There's many videos on that out there, how to delete them, how to do your linkage. One in particular I know is Redbeard's Garage, and I will be sure to put the link to that video that he did in my description. But guys, this is great. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. Okay, the kill switch didn't work after we cranked the engine up, so I popped the cover off here, and now I realized the ground tab, I thought I had a good connection to the case, and I didn't. So I wired a piece of wire to the ground tab and soldered it on there. And according to the meter, when I put the lead here and here, the on and off works now. When you turn it off, it grounds out, and it should turn it off. So let's see how it works. I'll throw it back together and let's see how it works. Now the switch works. Just a grounding issue.